There's all that. Remember all the. I was chuckling in the editing last week because it was just me worried about what. How do I get into the show anymore now that we have a new intro? I don't know what I'm doing. But I think it worked out fine.
Change a habit too. You're like,
Yeah. Well, how do you change 7 years of practice?
yeah, it's like a new pair of pants. You can't do you gotta get comfy.
That's why you got to buy them at Salvation Army. Worked in for you, buddy.
Pre-worn.
Pre, lightly used, lightly dadded. That's
Yeah.
great. Get some used New Balances. Get some khakis.
Oh, now that's the complete set. This is like your own character creator. You're like, hold on.
It's just this like, pre-existing dad. I could just walk into the store and take it off of the rack.
Yeah.
It's got all the same shape, so the gut is a little bit big, the waist
Yep.
is a little bit small.
You got a belt. You're tucking in the t-shirt,
Oh my god.
right?
Visor. Sir, would you like a complimentary visor with your suit? Yes, I would.
Yes, they would. Absolutely.
Oh. Yeah, we should start dressing up for these video
I think
recordings.
so. Yeah.
At least the visors. Okay, that is our first merchandise. New Dad Gaming, like golf visors.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Does that accentuate or hide the ball spot?
I don't know. You might get that burn happening in the back.
Of all
back nine.
places that I need coverage,
Yeah, exactly.
it's the worst possible.
Reverse it out.
Okay. Oh, all right.
These are great ideas. I'm
Yeah.
glad the world can hear our thoughts.
The pre-roll is just nothing but genius ideas before we get into the nonsense of the show. And speaking of that, let's march onwards into it because we are quick cough. Live.
There you go.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Jeff, I have sustained another sports injury.
Oh no.
That is to say, I have suffered another VR-related sports injury.
Do we need to put a warning up on screen?
They should. You had a genius idea that the mask should really look at your eyes and see how many wrinkles you have, and then dial back the difficulty to try to avoid injury.
It's just a safety feature for liability reasons.
Okay, this is embarrassing, but I'm fairly certain I've developed golfer's elbow.
Oh no. Oh no.
I have all this pain in my elbow that has started ever since I've been playing this golf game, and I just
VR golf.
well, it's all from repetition, right? And if you think about the weight is it's a little bit less because of the club, but the swings are I can get in so many more swings than I would on a round of golf because I don't have to walk anywhere. So I'm
You don't have
just
to walk anywhere. It's not raining. Nothing. The beer's probably not going down the same way.
So it is so embarrassing because if you tell somebody, hey, I was playing golf or tennis and I had this elbow injury, they're like,
Right.
oh, well, you're out there doing it. It's like, yeah, I had this white plastic mask on my face and I was just like flailing my arms around. Now my elbow hurts a lot.
It's better. No, they're like, what course? And you're like, some course in like California. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you really? You flew all the way? No.
Yeah, Pinecrest. I was doing the Masters. I was hitting a solid 350 on the back nine.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Wow. I have never heard of that before. You might be the first. There
I
might be
did. I
news
doubt it.
articles.
I would like to think there's some dads out there that have had the same, where it's just between my boxing soreness and now, VR is really kicking my. I'll say, okay,
It's kicking your butt.
silver lining. Like I just think as silly as the boxing thing is
Yeah.
it is a interesting movement that I do not put myself through often. So fine, it was sore, but it's just because that's not movement my body is used to. So I kind of liked that happened, and I could then continue to box. I get a real crazy sweat go. My heart rate, which I monitor, goes up to like 175. So there's some legit exercise there, and I kind of like it. And even with the golf one is just I gotta smarten up and watch how I'm doing things so I don't have permanent elbow damage. But yeah, hey, we're getting older, Jeff. I don't know what to tell you.
I hope maybe our audience can let us know if there's any other VR injuries out there. Do we have Beat Saber arms? Like, or maybe Beat Saber legs? Maybe there's more
Please.
injuries that we don't know about.
Please tell me I'm not alone. somebody please comfort me that I'm not the only one. Now, in the preamble, you had what I thought to be a genius idea for
Genius.
for us gaming dads going forward. Why don't you let the good people know your innovation in dadding and gaming?
Right. So everybody knows, there's chores to happen around the house, right? You have a family, you have kids. They need to start pitching in, whether it's mowing the grass, picking up the leaves, I don't know, picking up dog poop. But who really wants to do that? I don't know if that benefits so much for us in our gaming lives. So what about if we did, hey kids, you can help out dad today by doing all dad's side quests in a game, so dad doesn't have to level up and dad can just continue on with the mainline story. Wouldn't that be great?
What do I have to do for my allowance this week? Well, you got to find 20 cacao seeds. What? Zelda.
Yeah.
Setting them off. You have to level my character to this. You got to complete the armor set. You have to kill 20 rats.
Yep.
Like whatever the nonsense side quests are. That's hilarious. Have you ever benefited from that, where your kid picked up a game that you were playing and they just happened to complete a bunch of like tasks or anything for you?
No, I will pick up a game and they have started a new save file with a character that is all leveled up. I'm like, why didn't you just do this for me?
Yeah.
That would have been great. That would have got you the praise that you want. So
It's just...
it hasn't happened, but now I'm hoping it does, right? You can write out a list. Here's your chores for today. Final Fantasy X, I need you to dodge 100 lightning strikes.
Oh my!
So-
Oh come on! That's just mean.
Yeah.
There's a skipping mini game as well. I think
Yes, yep.
the Final Fantasy. Yeah, that is interesting. So they wanted a little bit of extra game time. It's like okay, but the way you're going to do it is you're going to use my character,
Right.
and you're going to go into this world and like do these 6 things. So if you want to, fine, I'll let you play some more game, but you're going to be doing so in such a way that benefits good old dad.
Yeah, because otherwise you're stuck doing all those things or skipping them, and now you're under leveled for the main story, and it's more difficult, and you're wondering why. So
Gotta get you the shiny nickel, kid. Let's do this. Oh, hey, gaming dads, if you've done okay, so if you
I think it could work.
From the 2 opening stories, gaming dads, write into us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Am I alone? Am I the only one getting injured playing VR, or are you there right there with me? Secondarily, have you incentivized your kids to complete chores in gaming on your behalf, collecting seeds, leveling up characters, completing armor sets? Write to us at either of those places. Again, at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Now, one of those such games that someone could level you up in is one that we found just this week that my oldest is really adoring, and myself as well. Like, it is a real blast. So this is called Young Souls. It is on Xbox Game Pass, which is great, but it is a kind of flew under the radar for me. Side scroller, Metrovania style dungeon crawler.
Oh, neat.
So your 2 twins. I don't have my son kind of blasted through the story before I was really involved, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. But there's quaint town. Underneath is a bunch of dungeons with monsters. Good monsters and trolls are trying to fight these bad ones, like to save the realm. Kind of classic stuff there. But go through, get new gear. You can level up that particular gear. You can level up your own character. Which the funny thing that I liked was, in order to level up your character, you have to go to sleep.
Oh.
See, that feels nice because that's going to be I think a good callback to your kids. Like, hey,
Right.
remember in the game how we could only level up if we went to bed? Well, I'm gonna need you to go to sleep right now, kid, because you
Right.
don't level up unless you sleep.
Perfect. This game sounds better and better already.
Yeah.
Great.
But anyways, a lot of care went into this game. So it's what's nice about it is because it's a bit more on the cartoony side, it could be more appropriate for younger ages. There's a lot of kind of classic mechanics to get through. So, you do have to kind of work with them to understand like the different parts of it. But dungeon crawlery, not particularly complex, like beautiful visuals, a lot of fun, like a great game to be checking out. So definitely a dad recommend. One funny story on this one is I mentioned the leveling up and the sleeping mechanic. Your
Right.
character will not level up unless you go to sleep. So, you know, it flashes on screen, but my kid just kind of blasted through it and didn't pay attention.
Oh no.
So he has me join him. It's 2-player local co-op, which is also just immediately great.
Yeah.
And we're just getting our asses handed to us. We're getting just smoked. Right? I'm like, man, this is like difficult. Like, hey, what's that exclamation mark? It's like, oh, hey, son, like it says if we go to sleep, like we'll gain levels. Why don't we do that? He had not been leveling up for the first like 6 hours that he'd been playing this game. We went to sleep. We gained, I'm not kidding you, like 10 levels immediately.
Oh
Like,
my god.
We quadrupled our strength. We quadrupled everything. It's like, son, do you ever? We were putting ourselves through this gauntlet as level 1 characters, getting just smoked at every corner. And I'm like, why is this game so hard? It's because he's not leveling up. He's not like increasing his character. It was ridiculous.
I hope that like that game data is sent back to the developer and they're like, look at this guy. He's just on the second world, hasn't leveled up once.
It's like, wow, he just keeps going for it. This is amazing. There's gonna be some sort of
Speed running? Is he speed running this thing?
Is
Like
he trying to platinum? Is it do we even have an award? Like a game achievement for this nonsense?
oh yeah, that's part of the problem is that like when you blast through those kind of, tutorial windows and they are never shown again, like there's no other menu system to mention any of that. You're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So maybe there's a special move that you could be doing and you have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. So anyway, so just to mention for gaming dads out there, if you want to start to poke your way into a dungeon crawler Metrovania, almost Diablo-like in a sense, this one's a cartoony, friendly one, but that doesn't belie a sense of actual great gameplay. So definitely check it out.
Nice.
Now, another game that is very popular with many kids, and my son for the first time has asked me specifically for it. So my
Okay.
oldest has asked, like, can we start to play Fortnite?
Here, okay, this is the moment.
Yeah.
Right? We've been working up, we've been training for this day, Trevor.
God, and it just
Happened.
I didn't really have an answer because I look at the game, it is of a violence. It's guns, unfortunately, right? Like there's no getting around that. But they could be paintballs for all it cares. Like it's very Looney Tunes esque in its approach to violence. Big, colorful, splatty. Like when you kill somebody, like they zip in and out.
Dust.
Like
Yeah.
so it's like colorful dust as opposed to like blood and gore and things like that, right? So the gunplay doesn't feel akin to Modern Warfare or anything like that.
You're playing Counter-Strike with your 7-year-old.
Right. So I'm not particularly concerned about the violence of that.
Yeah.
The complexity of it. He doesn't have to be good. We don't have to win anything. But it still just felt too young. So when I mentioned that to you, I have a 7-year-old who is turning 8 in 4 months. So for all intents and purposes, you almost call it 8. But like, how does that strike you?
I think the game itself is probably good enough for a 7-8-year-old, and I don't even mean by like the violence or the that kind of part of it, but it's just the complexity of it. So the closing of the ring and navigating that map, right? So I think they could do it. I would worry about the voice chat and stuff. That would be the only thing that's like, yeah. Oh, and locking down the credit cards, right? So
Yeah.
getting rid of all that stuff. But the chat, I have never had the chat on during it. I'm not sure if maybe I've turned it off somewhere, but I don't really hear too many people in it. So it's just really that. And maybe you just need to be present with him for a few games until you feel comfortable. Because, like, if he's going off and experiencing, I think there's still like a text chat in there in the lobbies and stuff. If there's bullying in there or something that,
I think you can even turn that off if I'm not mistaken. But I might be because I've not spent too much time in Fortnite.
Yeah.
But
Should be relatively okay, though, I think.
yeah, kind of. It's sort of been my impression of it. Where all right, if him and I play it together, I've always been sort of a distant admirer of Fortnite. I always thought it was like super interesting game. Obviously, malfeasance aside, I don't like some of their monetization practice, but otherwise, the game itself is really a stunning example of what's possible in the industry. I think.
Yeah.
So. And it's fun, like it's big, colorful, and silly. Like, and especially now that they don't have the build mode, like a non-build mode,
Right.
for the kid, that just really I think makes it a bit more accessible for him. But is it? I guess I would be curious about the. Would he even understand the systems that would cause him to become addicted? So the most addictive part of the systems would be the Game Pass Battle Pass. So the more you play, the more you get these particular skins and things like that. It locks kids in and brings them into it. Is it introducing him to that, or is it almost because so much of it is reading and he's just picking up his reading now? Is that kind of beyond him? That's so.
Yeah, that's a.
Am I flirting with is it dangerous to flirt with practices that can be addictive to younger gamers?
It's a good question because, like, I think as long as you're there, that's obviously a lot better. Like, you can call that stuff out or even teach them as they go. But it's more like this: you're walking into this theme park, and everything's trying to sell you something, and there's people with different costumes and weapons that they've bought. So your kid might be like, "Well, I want that big bird costume, Dad. So for my birthday, I'm going to ask for V-Bucks now." So that's where I could see it as, slowly like seeping in, just by nature of, oh, that's shiny and new, I want that. Instead of the game mechanics themselves saying, oh, you need to buy the better weapon to win, because that's not what it's about. It's a lot of the cosmetic stuff. But to a kid brain, like, everything new is fun. So yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought of that. I think my kids played this when they were about 8 or 9 as a test, but they bounced off it, and that's because their friends weren't really playing it. But the ones that were playing it, like the friends that had those groups, they were in it. They were constantly asking for V-Bucks for their birthday parties, and they wanted Fortnite parties, and so it was in their life for a while, which is fine. But like, be careful.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna probably let it sit for a while, and I'll see how. Was it an off the cuff? All things being equal, I'd probably prefer not to have to deal with it at this point.
Right.
Got
too much going on anyway with your injuries, so
yeah, exactly. I need to be laid up for a while with all these like VR golfing injuries. No, at this particular phase, like it's a bit of a nebulous answer. It's not an obvious like yes or no, and so it'd be almost good to kind of think about it for a while and then see if it's even something to worry about. Like, does he continually ask about it every week, or is it sort of he saw it once on a video, like, hey, I want to play this. It's like, do you?
And like, that's just it. Like, again, my kids bounced off it. They played maybe 1 or 2 matches, and then I don't want to do this anymore. So
That's perfect. Speaking of bouncing off of it and not wanting to do it anymore, God of War Ragnarok, Dad of War, one of our favorites, and the surprising / almost kind of embarrassing realization that you and I have both just kind of naturally come to. Like, where are we at right now with this game, Jeff?
Dad's tired.
The Dad of War has had enough.
Dad is, this is what the sequel should have been. Just Dad goes to the couch and falls asleep. I don't know. I love the first one. I think all our listeners know that. Like, I adored the first one. It was a big change from the previous God of Wars. Love the story, where it was going. This one, I don't know. It's not catching my eye. I'm halfway. I thought I was halfway through. I am not. Looked up where I am. I am a quarter of the way through, and it's just I have to not force myself to play it, but I'm not really in the mood to continue. So like, I'll put in a half an hour section, but I'm constantly checking where that save point is, and that's never really happened to me before in this kind of game. So
yeah,
I don't know. What about you? Like, are you back to this? Because you bought it too. So where are you at? Are you done? Like, what's...
So I took a weird side quest.
That's good. I like it.
So I ended up playing for quite a while High on Life.
Yes.
So which was
very different from this.
Yeah, it had a super fun time. Like, it was so wild and different and like uncomfortable in a good way. Like, it was a very interesting experience. And I streamlined it. Like, I went in, I set the mode to like fairly easy, like the second easiest one. And I really was just steamrolling it. Okay, like finish the game, main quest. And it was great. And that had interrupted my God of War, because my current palette of games are Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, and then eyeing the Monster Hunter, potentially.
Okay, yep.
Right? And then the always ongoing of Elite Dangerous. So I got some big... My buffet overfloweth with options, right? So having now finished, though, High on Life, like I completed it, I'm kind of looking at what do I want to play, and my honest to God pull is back to Elden Ring.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it's one of those things like if you're just going to be honest with yourself and like list out what do you like. Here's 3 things. What do you want? Which one do you want?
Yeah.
And that's for some reason the one that keeps drawing me. I don't know why. And it just this one does not this. It's what I appreciate it so much. I'm so impressed by it. Like I'm happy that it exists, but there's just no big draw for me to get back into the world for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. It's just something that's kind of it's there. And there's lots of systems in this one that is like I could care less right now. Like I'm not upgrading my axe pommel. Like okay, like
The leather on your secondary weapon, like
yeah, and then like I used to in the first game I hunted all those ravens. I think it's Odin's ravens that go around.
Odin's ravens, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was just even linked to a trophy. And now it's linked to armor sets in this one. And I'm like, you know what? I got one of them. And I'm like, I'm kind of done.
that's enough.
I don't need anything more, but like maybe I just need to take a break from it and come back when I'm like really interested. Cause like you were saying, there's a lot of buffet of stuff that's going on with other games that you just kind of fit the time period right now. I don't know what it is, but I'd rather not, push myself to play a game and kind of like, hate play it. Like I don't want that for this because I think it is a well crafted game. It's just maybe now is not the time for me or us. So
I'll say that the systems are just nothing pushes me faster to story mode than complex systems.
yeah,
Because it's like, all right, well, here's like the 6 veins that you can follow with the customizations. Although if you're going to be in particular scenarios, you're going to want to, maximize this and then swap it. And they're like, oh, what are you doing? Hey, what do you? It's like, oh, I'm just changing the story mode. What? Yeah. This is like stupid.
I'm not
I don't. It's like, but that way you can use your ice axe against the ice column. I was like, yeah, exactly. I'm going to use the axe you gave me, and I don't care to think about it.
no, and it kind of goes against the character itself. Like Kratos, a lot of it is just strength. So I'm like, strength stat. Like let's let's pump that up. Like I don't know, why do I need the other things?
It's always bothered me with games. I have a core memory that where I completely ruined a game by accident. So this was, if you remember back on PlayStation, Parasite Eve.
yes, great game.
Which it's a wild one. It's all guns. Like you're doing all this
Yeah.
crap. It's an RPG with guns, and you can craft. And there's so much crafting to it. Okay, I'm going to take this one, but I'll add this stock. I'll add these machines to it,
Right.
and then you can morph it or evolve it or something like that. So in order to morph something, I took 2 guns that I had and I put them together, and I had like completely decimated all my other ones to harvest their resources. And let's say that like the one that I had beforehand was like a 95.
Okay.
It's like, oh, you get 95 damage. Cool. And then I morphed it. It's like, hey, cool. Like, because you morphed these 2, here's your new gun. 21 damage. I'm like, what? So I completely nerfed myself. I destroyed my only weapon. I had no save files.
Oh, no.
Rookie mistake. And just, I couldn't beat anything. Like, I was dead. I ruined my entire game. And I was far enough that it's like, I don't want to play this anymore. And I was so pissed off. I was just like, forget it. Like, this game is dead to me. Never finished Parasite Eve because of it.
That sounds like a trauma point that now you get to experience in all these other games. Come on, you're like, you know what? I'm not doing this.
Well, that's like, and the thing is, like, so you get the, these special runes, and these special runes upgrade your weapons. But here's like your 6 weapons, and each of those have 4 veins. And I'm just like, which one? Like, what am I? Because if I spend like 1 here, I'm not spending it on the 4 other ones, and I just don't have the grander sense. And I don't have time with dad time to grind and find the 50 other ones, so it all becomes like nebulous. So it's just story mode, forget it. Like, just let me punch things as an angry dad.
Yeah, and like, to be honest, it doesn't really make sense. Like, how am I supposed to prepare for the future here, Kratos, if we're talking about God of War, when I don't know what gods I'm fighting next? Like, should I upgrade my Frost stuff? I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
But like, if we're talking Elden Ring, because it still has those upgrade stuff, like paths for weapons, like it's an open world and you can kind of play to your strength, right? And any one of those bosses have been crafted to work with whatever you do. Sometimes it'll be easier, but like you can work with it. This one, it could be like Parasite Eve all over again. You're like, well, you didn't upgrade this special move that you can do.
So you're gonna die.
So good luck.
Yeah, I hate it when it's deterministic. It's like it's the illusion of choice, but ultimately it's deterministic based on if you min max particular
Yeah,
stats,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, why didn't you just have me upgrade it? Like, why are you having me choose? If I need to have it a particular way, just let me work to get it that particular way. Like, don't
It's
it
not fun anymore. Like,
perfect. That's exactly the
do
way
you
to
mean
say it.
like what are you doing? You're just pumping stats into my character, like
Yeah,
not
it's
in any
work.
way that makes sense. It's just
Yeah,
busy work.
it used to be. It was fun in the sense that like I like characters when they're super fast and sneaky with like two knives. So you
Yeah,
build your
yeah,
character with two knives, like Mr. Stabby. Great, I'm having fun.
right.
But this one's it's like work. It's like, well, in order for this to happen, I got to send my dad, my angry dad of war, to the mines so that I can get enough of this to be able to like output it. It's like this is grindy stats. Like this is might as well be an Excel sheet as opposed to like a video game.
Right, and your playstyle doesn't change, right? So again,
Yeah.
stabby stab, like you play like a stealth ninja, and in this one you're like, well, I'm just kind of like trying to break stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, dads out there, if we're overthinking this, underthinking this, if we should take another look at Dad of War, let us know. But yeah, it kind of seems like it's bounced off us for the near term.
yeah, it's on pause. I'm not gonna drop it
Yeah.
completely. It's gonna sit there for a bit until
In
I
the
come
mood.
back to it. Yeah, or get my kids to help out.
It's in for choice. Give me the runes, boy.
Go find all these ravens. I need these best armor sets so I don't have to think anymore.
Now, speaking of them and what those kids will be doing in this new year, an interesting place where we've arrived is we have a whole new year coming about. You know, like
Right.
we're a month now into at least to the new year. And what does your next year of dad gaming look like? Is there, reflecting back on how the last year went, where your kids are at, and projecting into the future from a gaming perspective and a dad gaming perspective with them? Like, what are you trying to shape for your household and gaming this
Yeah,
year?
this is kind of like our new dad gaming resolutions. Like this could be a thing.
We'll check in at the end of the year, see how we did.
Yeah, so with my kids, I wanted to get into an MMO with them. I think that's something that I think would be awesome to play with my kids now that they're at a level in their gaming and in their learning that they can understand these more complex mechanics. So if we did Final Fantasy 14, I've talked about that a lot. I'm still in it, still on the deck with it. If we can do that and play all together as a team, I have my own party. I don't have to
That is
work with
brilliant.
strangers,
God, that is very cool.
right? I know all our strengths and weaknesses, and we can work as a family to save the world.
Once again.
Right? There might be some friction with, hey, my 9-year-old saying my 12-year-old's not healing them fast enough, but I think that would be a great experience for me as a gaming dad, is to finally get into this world and see them all together and we work as one unit. So that's for me, but what about you? What are you
Yeah, it's
looking
not
at?
it's not too far off. I think one I thought that perhaps my son and I could get into. I want something more meaty and substantial,
Right.
where it's one that we could for a number of months kind of like play into together. We did that a bit with Minecraft Dungeons,
Oh yeah.
but
Yep.
it felt, I don't want to say it felt childish, but it just felt very,
It's a little
the thing-
shallow, right? Like it's
yeah, which is funny to say because there's so many systems. Like it's weird for me to say that it's shallow, but somehow it just felt that way. And I don't know if it's just because I'm, overthinking it. Like, oh, this is a baby game because look at look at these characters, which is unfair to the game, honestly.
right. Yeah.
But just how it came about. But what if we got into Monster Hunter Rise, or we got good at Fortnite together, like as a team? Or I was looking at Torchlight, except I found out that there's no local multiplayer on Torchlight,
Oh no. Oh, okay.
so that sucked. Because I think Diablo's a step too far. Like that, I don't like the imagery is a little too much for a
That would be-
7/8-year-old.
Yeah. Hey kids, come on, we're going to hell. Like
Let's go to hell, kids. Let's do it.
before dinner. We gotta get back.
Yeah. So two parts, and the other part of that too is in a more intense game. Like I'm really pushing on games as a way for my kid to learn to better his reading.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's made some great strides. Like it's really it's an incredibly proud dad moment to see him read. especially another language because he's going to French school, so he's reading in French.
Oh wow, yeah.
So to see him read French is like, I'm just sitting there like beaming. It's like, oh, that's amazing. Like, it's just so cool.
You could save money here, Trevor, and buy French games,
Oh,
right?
my
Like you
Lord.
can buy those.
But then I can't
those-
understand. What about me, Jeff? You'd have to explain it all. But I've been trying to work with him as he's playing a games and he doesn't understand something. It's like, well, you have to read this sentence with me. Like, let's get through this.
Right.
And it's also the promise. It's like, do you have any idea the games I could introduce you to if you would just read? Like, they're the RPGs we can get into, the dungeon crawlers. Like, it's stunning. There's so many cool games I can get you into, but you got to get past that precipice. You got to be able to read.
Yeah.
Which, at some point you got to be careful too, because ultimately it's like, it's not like he's going to be reading at like a 12th grade level to be able to like get through the ridiculous amount of lore in a Final Fantasy game.
Right.
But just trying to get him into, it's like, look, like there's a lot, you need to be able to understand some interfaces and some core mechanics if we're going to get into a bigger game together. So let's, use this as the prompt
Yeah.
to do it. So yeah, in a way, we're kind of aligned in the sense like it's not quite an MMO, but I would like us to get into something a bit meatier, be it like a Torchlight or a Monster Hunter, and then use that as reading. So it sounds like for both of us, it's a larger gaming experience with our kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're working towards both of us meeting up together in the same world online with our kids. Like, look at that. Now we can go, a huge MMO, or we meet up in Monster Hunter.
God, that would be sometime in future. Your two kids, my two kids, you and me, party of 6,
See?
just rocking across Final Fantasy. That would be wild.
Even space trucking, right? Go
There you
into
go.
space, you get in the van, let's go.
Let's all be Elite Dangerous crew. Let's go.
Yeah.
Go across. The sporting outing of the future. Nothing but
Right.
dads, kids, and games. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take that happy note and wrap it up there for the week. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. So plenty of call-outs this week. If you have yourself sustained a VR-related injury, please let me know that I'm not alone. What do you think about side quests for chores? Do you have a gaming dad goal for the week for how gaming is approached inside of your household? Would you let a 7/8-year-old play Fortnite? Plenty to read about. We really adore hearing from fellow gaming dads out there. So reach out to us on Twitter at NewDadGaming or our website, newdadgaming.com. Did you like the podcast? Well, help out the show. Go ahead and subscribe on any of your podcasting networks. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Caster, Google Play, anywhere where you get your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. A subscription really helps the show. What helps the show even more is if you leave a comment and a rating. That really just boosts the signal to other fellow gaming dads. So Jeff and I would really appreciate it if you would do that for us. So that wraps it up for the week, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And remember, everybody, just because he became a dad.
Does not mean it's game over.
All right. See you next week.
Later.